data is so critical to what we do, because it not only lets us know where we're going, but it helps us decide, what our next moves are and how to move forward with our mission. So just to make sure we're all using the same types of vocabulary, the three main data categories we're going to be, discussing today, or even mentioning today, are outputs, which is the quantitative, so the numbers, books in, books out. Outcomes, which for us are a lot harder to get if you're not doing, one of the wonderful programs that Rachel and the crew from earlier were talking about. So actually, how are you changing behavior? And then impact is more about behavior change and on a systematic level. So that lasting change. That is probably the most difficult to prove, but doesn't mean we're not going to keep trying. So one of the things, there's lots of different types of data that you could be tracking, but when you're looking at what data elements you're going to be trying to pull from your recipients, donors, volunteers, you really need to be looking at what's going to prove your outcomes, outputs, impact. How is it going to actually help you become a better, nonprofit, or improve your operational process, your systems? How do you actually communicate and tell your story through marketing and through grant writing? And then how does the data actually inform you of how people see you or experiencing your programs or your services or products? So I know that's kind of a bit of a business language there, but and then ultimately, we are all going off of shoestring budgets many times. So collecting data that actually helps lead to more funding. So those are those are the list of kind of to help you set your focus. Just quickly, so I'm Kelly Cates, Deputy Director from Promising Pages. Eileen Minogue is here with me. She from the Book Fairies, who just got a new logo, which is fantastic. If I might say so myself. And that's just a little bit about what we do. We're very similar to many of you guys online, but we specifically use Salesforce to collect and manage data. So we're going to be showing you what our Salesforce, we have slightly different, it is not out of the box. We did both hire folks to customize our Salesforce. Salesforce is free to nonprofits. It is a pretty powerful tool. It's used, across the business world. It is a great platform, but this is not a sales pitch. We are just showing you how one CRM can manage multiple facets of your nonprofit. So if you have any questions about Salesforce, our like I said, we've customized it slightly differently, but Eileen is going to take us through, I'm going to go to the next slide. Eileen's going to take us through some of the things that she's built out. She has actually a much more robust system in certain areas, and then we've got a more robust system in other areas. It just depends on where you want to spend your money. But I do, and Eileen, jump in here. I know you feel the same way, but I do believe that we feel like it has been money well spent. So the money that we have invested in Salesforce customization is actually freeing our staff up. It is making work that would have been very manual a lot easier and faster for us. So, so just before we switch over to let Eileen share her screen to take us through her Salesforce module, I just wanted to kind of show you, just a visual representation of what we're going to be talking about. So these are the main kind of items that we collect data on. And the first module that Eileen's going to show us is how volunteers come to the Book Fairies, how they sign up on an online application form, how it goes to their staff and gets created in Salesforce automatically, and then what that data that they're collecting through Salesforce actually is used to generate reports and then dashboards. So it helps them keep track and then communicate ultimately with their volunteers and their recipients, which we would call like our students served or our individuals and families served. Their recipients is a very similar process, except it is done through a different online form and group. So Eileen, I'm going to stop sharing and you can show us your Salesforce. It's like,
Okay, thank you so much, Kelly. It's a pleasure working on this with you. And I'm going to share mine. Do you want to continue? Yes. Let me know when you can see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
yes.
Yes. Okay. So I have implemented Salesforce, and this is not a Salesforce pitch, but in a similar organization, what I knew is that it was you can have a holistic view of all your different types of constituents that you work with, and I knew that it would provide me opportunity to scale our business on a quicker, faster trajectory than just working off of different types of systems. So that's really what I love about Salesforce. I used to say all roads lead to Salesforce, and you should be able to see all different touches with different types of people that you're working with. We start with the volunteers. If we want to talk with volunteers, we have this is our website. Our volunteer application is on our website. I'm sure 99% of you here have the same situation. Our volunteer application actually dumps into our Salesforce system. This is actually a real volunteer, but I just changed the name and information to protect the innocent, as they say. So Minnie Mouse is a volunteer of ours, and I can look at Minnie Mouse in a number of different ways here. It captures all of this, 90% of this information downloaded from our application, and you can customize the number of, the different types of questions you're going to ask on the application to see what dumps in. But this is Minnie Mouse, if you will. And Minnie Mouse, you can see up here, I could see has donated. She's not only a volunteer, but she's donated money to us. I can look here and I can pull this up, and if I wanted to, I could show you a picture of Minnie Mouse, or I should say, working in our warehouse. I can say happy birthday when it's her birthday. I can find out how she was referred to me. I can communicate with her. And if I wanted to show the communications over here, this is the whole email trail of information that we've had back and forth. So that if I'm not here, my goal is that if I'm not here tomorrow, can someone come in and take over and kind of look in a system and see who they're working with, what kind of interactions we've had with them. Again, it's not about me, it's about the mission moving forward. I have her personal information, her email. We know where she lives. She lives at Disney Avenue. I can see when she's given me her last date, her average gift, her best year gift, which is great for your financial development committees, persons, or if you're wearing 5 hats, it's great for you if you want to know what they're doing. Again, this is the household gifts, but this is where the volunteer activity works and lives. It's great because when the volunteer comes in, we have to make them active. They don't automatically become active. We have to take an action to make them active, because we want to make sure that if they're not of age, there's lots of reasons why we would want to make sure that we want them in the system and that everything's working. But I can look at a volunteer here, and all of this information, all of these fields, they roll up to reports for us. And this is where you talk about impact and data. I can see that she's available weekdays. These are her volunteer skills. We have people who can lift. We have people who want to do outreach. So we can sort and seek volunteers by their skills, and that's all driven from the different fields that we have here. We can see that she has specialized experience, because she's an elementary school teacher, that's a big thing for us. So we want to bring her in. We want to try and get her to be sorting. I can look up her volunteer signature. Our waiver is attached to our application, and when they sign that dumps into our system. So I know that she has signed a waiver, and I have a copy of that should I need it. This is interesting over here, because during COVID-19, we actually went in and just created a new field, and we wanted to know, we were constantly asking people, do you have your vaccine? Do you have your vaccine? So we just looked here, and we knew when we had our sign-up sheets in the morning, we already knew that we didn't even have to see a vaccine card. I know that I've highlighted her in our newsletter, and I know when I highlighted her. So that's also great information for us. And in here as well is her spouse. we just had an incident where someone passed out in our warehouse, and we had to call the person's mom. In here is your emergency contact, what's the relationship, and the phone number. So we can go right into our system and call whoever the emergency contact is for that day. God willing, it doesn't happen again, but if it does, we are set to go. So once Mary's in our system, what does she do? We want to eliminate the amount of contacts that we want to empower them to do what they need to do, which is come in, sign up, and do what they're doing. So Mary is actually, she's able to go into, this is her portal. We have a portal that's accessible through our website. They can go in through that. They can save that link. They can sign up on themselves, and Minnie can sign up right here. She can see what's her upcoming hours. These are the hours that she's coming in over the next days. These are her information. She can go to our job calendar, which actually tells us what's available. She can click on here and it says March 15th, we need someone. She can sign up and she's good to go. If she decides she doesn't want to be in here, she can't come in on the 15th, she can also go in and cancel that day. And it all sends us emails. Our logistics coordinator gets the emails, and we didn't have to touch anything. She didn't have to email us. In the beginning, when I first got here, there was lots of emails going back and forth and 20 different spreadsheets, and now everything's in one place. So here is
Eileen.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in really quickly? So one of the things I did want to make sure that we were clear on is that there are a lot of native functionality to Salesforce that is free. This particular piece, though, was customized for Eileen and the Book Fairy. So Salesforce does not come out of the box with this type of thing, but they do have a volunteer module that you can still use. So sorry,
no, that's okay. It's a great point, because and I want to tell everybody, I always say take one bite of the cookie at a time and do what you can. The first thing I did with Salesforce was get it for free, and I used it as a CRM. I was able to take all the business cards that I had, all the contacts that we worked with, and I used that, and I uploaded our contacts in there. And I just took little pieces at a time. This is 4 years of building Salesforce. It didn't happen overnight, but I feel like if whatever platform you're looking to use, figure out what's the first step that you need to do, and build on that, because this has taken us from 0 to 100 in our ability to really work and move books in and out. This is the volunteer dashboard, and this is where all those fields kind of roll up into a reportable data collection of information for grants, for annual reports. I can tell you that this year we've had 2,000 hours. I could tell you we've had 1.3 thousand volunteers that have, like, those aren't unique, those are just touches. I could tell you who's our biggest volunteers. I could tell you where maybe year over year where you're having trouble getting volunteers, or where you have volunteers coming in spring break, summer, things like that, where you can actually make opportunities for them. And this dashboard can roll back, and it can give you more information, but it's all based on the volunteer activities. I just want to stop there. Kelly, did you have any questions before we went into recipients? I just want to be conscious of time because there's a lot to share.
Nope, you're good. Keep rolling.
Okay. The next, funnel of individuals that we work with are who receives our books and how do they receive our books. So our recipients can sign up to be on our recipient sign up list via our website. They can sign up through here. We also have, we show them the different ways that they can get and this is all on our website if you want to look at it. We have our community book fairs, which are once a month, where we distribute probably between 13 and 25,000 books in 3 hours. So this is our calendar of events, and they can sign up here as well. And our recipients are also able to place books by the order. This is a recipient that has interacted with us. Again, this is a record type, and in Salesforce, you're able to create different types of record types. So our educators are actually a different record type because there's different fields that we want to collect from them. She is affiliated to her school here, and I can go into her school, and I can see how many teachers from that school are participating in our book giveaways, and how many books. There's all roll-ups kind of there, but in the interest of not getting too far in the weeds, we want to just do a 30,000-foot view. So we can see she's a teacher. She came to us from a book fairy registration. We have some special notes about how she's interacted with us. And the same information is down here. The one thing I want to point out is we use MailChimp, and MailChimp integrates with Salesforce. So we're able to, this is her MailChimp subscriber. So we can target our communications all through Salesforce. Again, I always say all roads lead to Salesforce, but whatever CRM you're looking for, you should try to see if you can maybe reduce the touches and times when you need to be in there. Up here is information, and I'm going to just go in to show you that she has placed orders and she has received books from us in different ways. And how does that data roll up into reportable information that we can share with donors, that we can share with information. So this is actually her order. It tells you how many different types of books she's received. And we actually do provide delivery for our books. If they require it, we do that. So that's a whole nother thing that we've worked on, which is transportation and our outside transportation volunteers being able to go in, push in, and take on requests for delivery. But again, we won't go in there. This is a chevron up top that tells you where we're at, and we can look at this right away and see that it was filled. But in the details, this is where the nuts and bolts are as far as we're concerned, because this tells us down here, these are survey questions that we ask about poverty level, and are the students able to keep the books? Do you provide them to go home, or are they just for your school library? And then, so this right here is what we ask upon entering into our system when they come in to ask for the books. And then we follow up with the post receipt survey. And that's where we ask them specific questions. And if you hover over the I, it tells you what the question is. Since giving my students books for the book fairies, I've seen a positive change in their attitude. And then you'll see she strongly agrees. And this also is great because they provide quotes that we've pulled quotes out, and we've used them for grants. We've used them for newsletters. We've used them for a lot of different ways in which the quotes help us to share our mission and the impact of our mission. I will say, I think we all struggle with a lot of, this is something, we're all very small. So we struggle with the ability to really show our impact. And we are also reliant on the teachers to give us this information. And a lot of times we don't really get the response that we want from them. I will, do you want me to, Kelly, do you want to show your inventory now, or do you want me to go into the results of those book orders and book recipients first?
Why don't we stay with this line, and then I can show the inventory system. But look, can we take a quick pause to answer
Yeah.
Melissa's question?
Sure.
And I think we are going to, at the end of this session, we're going to try a whiteboard thing. I've never used it on a large Zoom platform, so we have no idea if it's going to work. So if it doesn't, we'll send out a survey. We really hope you fill it out, because what we'd like to collect is what technical, like what tools and software are you guys actually using right now, like that you would recommend, so that we've got kind of a great visual of all the different tools and technology that folks are using across the nation. And so this would be really helpful, I think, for Melissa for the specific question. But Salesforce is a pretty easy, CRM. It's very intuitive. I've worked with 3 other CRMs in my history, and I'll be honest, none of them were intuitive, and they were all very expensive. So Salesforce is kind of the bee's knees, I think, so far, and all the ones that I've learned about. And if you research them, because we also researched an inventory system, this has a lot of capabilities that you could bring under one under one piece of software. So, and then Excel. Put your data in Excel if you haven't started with a CRM, because everything's going to get uploaded when you do get a CRM or some sort of database. It'll get uploaded via a CSV file, which can be created out of an Excel or Google Sheets file.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer that one, Eileen?
I can't see the question.
Sorry. How much customization did you end up doing? What are the costs?
So
one time or continuous?
We did a decent amount, and a lot of it is native. They're native fields. A lot of this is just adding in native fields. We could just add in, this is, home reading is a customized question, but it's just through native fields, adding fields, things like that. But we did, so we have the portal, which is kind of customized for us. We have an inventory tracking, which we use native fields, but we had to have it kind of written for us. It's specialized, customized for us. And we had shown Kelly about it in the beginning, and she chose her way to customize, because every one of us on this thing, we're good, we're in the same lane, but we all kind of like swim off a little bit and do a little bit different. So, and I've had this for 4 years. This is my 4th year. And the first year it was maybe I spent a little less than $10,000. And I figure it as, in my opinion, it's increasing efficiency, less dual entry, all the kinds of things. The second year was the biggest, which was we had a lot of, things we were working on: inventory, volunteers, transportation, all the different nuts and bolts that all goes into into one system. And that was about $30,000. So but now, once I'm set and once I invest that money into it, it will pay itself in dividends. It already has. I will tell you that our staff was ready. It was just so stressful, and the amount of work it's taken off and steps it's taken off. It's just enabled us. People are shocked that we're so small by the efficiency of what we were able to accomplish. So I think it's well worth it, but not everybody has that kind of money. But it's also something that you might be able to get a grant for. If you can say, I need to get a grant, and this system will enable to take me to this number of books, then it's a very good, I think, ask on a grant or a sponsor.
It's definitely capacity building. And ours, we had a system before. So this, and it was awful. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. NetSuite, don't even bother. Don't do it. They can sue me later. But it, it didn't take us nearly as long to customize Salesforce. We did have outside help. We spent around $10,000. We went to Salesforce and said, this is how much money we have. So we really need to stay within that budget. And we did have proposals. We looked at two different outside vendors to customize, and they both were able to stay right around that dollar amount for us. And our initial, when we did initially get NetSuite, we did get an $11,000 grant to actually put that together. And I wish we could have spent it on Salesforce, but the cost. So I think with Eileen, like we did an initial, we primarily focused on forms interacting with the people that we serve, as well as building out our inventory system, because that's really what we were looking for. But it's one of those things where you could do it continuously. You could continuously be updating new bells and whistles, because there are things like connecting MailChimp and Constant Contact. There are apps that do that. Sometimes there's a slight cost for sending that data back and forth, or you could pay a small fee to have someone actually build it in for you. Eileen and them did that. We have not done that. So we're still doing it manually, but I will be looking into it after this. But Salesforce has a ton of apps that it interacts with. So they have a whole website, and we can, I would just go, if you're really interested in Salesforce, call them and get a demo. I do think it's really helpful. So all right.
And you definitely want to have someone who has, and it is very intuitive. And if you have somebody who's technically capable, you're in good shape, because you need someone who can kind of help build you out a lot. So this is the dashboard that I want to share with you, that the information, this is the book order intakes. This is the all of the questions that you saw under that one particular record now is rolling up into these dashboards, into these reports that are here. And you could see, I'm just going to go down.
And while she's looking for them, this is all baked into Salesforce, right? Like you get to choose. It's really easy to create these dashboards just from, you pull a report and it's like, do you want to have a chart? And you're like, yeah. And then you get to choose the colors. And so they make it really easy, really intuitive.
Yeah, they, I'm just going to try send book homes rule. This is just the different questions that we ask on our surveys. I apologize for my screen because it's going to freak out right now. But this tells you information, but you can, again, books were given to the parents for children to read at home. We also, so this just, it gives you opportunity to, I'm just going to turn my, oh, okay, it's working. It gives you opportunity to really, again, capture that information in a full report. And then this is the book recipient. And this also is the same thing. So it just gives you, when we go for grants, we can say, you know, of our teachers surveyed, you know, 189 surveyed, 63% said they agree that my students' behavior has changed, or, you know, so this is where you're going to capture that data, and then it's how you interpret it, how you want to present it to your funders, and you can go from there. And then did you want me to go to, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that, could you go back to your other screen? The great thing about this is that, you know, this is basically just an online form. You can build it through Form Builder. There are free forms. There are more complicated forms. You know, you can get as fancy or as expensive as you want. But the great thing about this is we also use QR codes. So, you know, I know that, you know, Mark Faring was saying that he uses a QR code to get survey information. So basically, it could live on your website and then it feeds and dumps right into Salesforce. And then you can easily pull reports. So, you know, it can go from, you know, a QR code survey all the way into actually beautifully displayed results or outcomes or outputs, whatever you're tracking. So,
and we use QR codes too in our community book fairs. When the teachers are leaving, they literally just scan the QR code and they tell us how many books they took, and they just kind of fill in the questions in the surveys. And we've tried to do that to get a higher percentage of responses to the surveys, and it just dumps in. And then we can break it down. We can also break it down by campaign, by meaning event. So we can tell you how many books we gave away on each event. It's all like, this is very high, but it just drills down as you go through. And then the last one before I send it over to you for the why do I have this? Sorry. This is the dashboard for outgoing books, and this tells you how many books we've distributed this far this year. It tells you where we distributed them, how we distributed them. This is through our community book fair. This is book orders through the community book fair. This tells you how each book fair is doing or did, and it tells you where it went for each community book fair. This is interesting because January we wound up splitting it into two because of the weather. And then also down here, it drills down to where Nassau, Suffolk County, and then the 5 boroughs. So it tells me where exactly. So when you're doing, we have specific grantors that want a specific geographic point. Nassau County, Suffolk County, New York City. So we have some that really just want a specific town, and we can drill it down and we can tell how many books are going to each town. And that's all from those records that I showed you in the very beginning, because there's zip codes, they're connected to their schools. It's all like, you just got to get the basics down and just keep building up on it, and then choosing what data you want to roll into the reports. It seems difficult. It seems like a mountain. But it can be done, and being done here, and with the help of a really good Salesforce support or an admin, you can definitely do this. So
Yeah.
any questions on that?
And you guys are probably collecting a lot of this data anyway. This
Mhm.
just takes the data and makes it visual, and it's easier to analyze in these formats. So feel free to share the surveys you collect here. Okay.
Want to
I'll
stop
just say,
sharing? You'll show the inventory.
yeah, that'd be great. And while we're switching, I'd like to just also say, so the information about sorry, it's hard to like talk and share at the same time. The information about sorry, I always hate, like, where do you put the control? So the information about geographic location. So we do a lot of I don't know if geo tracking is the right word, but our program manager Taylor, what he'll do is actually when the information about where the books were distributed comes into Salesforce, he then exports that. And while Salesforce can like do some mapping, he actually puts it in Tableau. So if anyone's ever heard of Tableau, it's like a data visualizer. It's very complicated, but he's taught himself and had a coach. So we actually plot all of the locations and do kind of like a heat map of where all the books are going. So we can take a look at the city, at the county, at the multi-county region, and look at where are the books going, how many partners do we have in a certain area, so we can really see where our holes are, and making sure that if we're talking about, book access, that's really what it's all about, that visualizing that map as to where those books are going. So how much of the data are you versus how much is entering from outside yours? Most of it is entered from forms. So most of it is like the surveys that Eileen and Book Fairy sends out. We also have a follow-up. So after someone finishes a book order, and I'll actually show you guys right now. So what you guys are looking at is, this is our book management system. Ours is slightly different than Book Fairy's. This is just kind of a jump page. So right here, we can see any new book requests we have that have, just come in. We've got, a display of how many that are like currently in the waiting stages. So I did want to kind of go through. So this is just kind of a snapshot of where we are on any given day. If we were to go into one of these,
I just wanted to say, so we don't enter any information. It is all self, reported, and it just dumps into our Salesforce. So it just saves all of that dual entry.
Yeah, the only time you really enter in someone manually is if you are going back and forth with them on email and they're not in your system, and that's more like CRM stuff. It's not so much actual the work that we do. So
Right, correct.
but everything else, volunteers, it's all forms. So you got to get a good form builder. But okay, so if we go into one of these, so like Eileen, people are come through us, we give them a link, they can do an online book order form. It's very simple. It's built into our website. It is not public, but we send it out to our new partners. They will fill it out, and then it comes in as a new book request. If we were to go into one of these, it would look something like this. We also have the chevron pattern at the top here. So we know now that our operations manager has looked at their order. She has kind of given it the thumbs up, and so now it is pending fulfillment. There are a couple things that people have to work out, like when are they going to actually come and pick up books, because we do not deliver. We're very jealous of the whole delivery system that Book Fairies has. But so you can kind of look down here. She's based on our order form. We know she's going to try and serve 35 kids with these books. She's only requested 120 books, which is hardly anything. Normally we're like, can you take more than that? And then this is specifically what she's requested down in here. So you can kind of see, we break it down into board books, picture books, early chapter, upper chapter. And then she's requesting books for an after school program. So this is all dumped in from our online form. And you can really ask anything. So it just populates. You just create the fields and it'll populate it. So once we will look, then she'll look at, our operations manager will look at our inventory. So this is actually a snapshot of what our inventory looks like. We do things a little bit differently in terms of, we do not actually enter books into our inventory. So it looks like we only have like 33,000 books. We don't enter books in until they have actually been cleaned, stickered, sorted, and boxed. So when they are actually boxed is when they go into the inventory system. Everything does get counted once it comes into our, like when it's donated, we do an initial sort and account with our specialized volunteers. And then, so you can actually see here, just our gently used books are like new books. These are all ones that have been processed and boxed. But down here is our raw books. These are the ones that when books come in, we do that initial count and an initial sort. They get entered in as raw. They are not technically in the system until they are cleaned and processed and sorted and boxed. So we also track our salvage down here, which are books that we're sending to book heaven, as the Cleveland Book Bank says. I love that.
I love that. Love it.
So we do have to track salvage for accounting reasons. We have to do a pretty stringent GAAP compliant audit, which means every single book in our warehouse has to be counted by hand and verified by an auditor in order to get certain county funding. So those of you guys who don't have to do that, oh, you're so lucky. Anyway, so our operations manager checks our inventory to see, do we have the books? When we do, when she verifies it, then she will actually go back. She will click packed. She'll box the books up, set them aside, put their name on it, and then she'll close this out. And then once it is closed, I think it's like 2 weeks later, 10 days later, they will actually get an automated email from Salesforce asking them to fill out the survey as to what they did with their books. And this is our just kind of general display of where we are, like, books donated. We can track by month, by year, year over year. We actually track diverse books that have been donated. So this just kind of gives you, for me, who, I oversee operations, this is just kind of a way for me to keep track of where we are at any given moment. So let's see, I'm going to stop sharing. I have not been looking at the chat. So
I answered 2 of the chats that were in there while you were speaking. One was about the forms that you and I both use, whether or not, how they're done. And I just mentioned that they are, you figure out what fields, what you need to have done, make sure that the fields are in there to have the information dump into. And then ours is integrated usually through our website or through a link that we send to people.
Yeah. So Eileen, would you like to, I think you kind of already, do you want to look at the, did you want to look at the donor and, or we can just talk about it?
Yeah, I can show a quick thing about the donors, because I think it's important that, again, it's a holistic view of the many ways in which people come to you from your system. And then we can talk about the cost and the training and the stuff like that. So I'll do this really quickly. People who donate, like probably all of you on here, they go to our donate now. We use Classy. I don't know what everybody else uses, but we use Classy. And then I'm not sharing. So let me share. Hang on, I'm showing you.
For those of you that are old enough, this is Eileen's max headroom. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you were clearly born after like the 90s.
Oh my God, I want to turn my video off right now. Can you see, are you seeing my donate now page?
Yep.
Okay. So they go to our donate now page, which we use Classy, and then it dumps into Salesforce. Again, there's no typing, no anything, no data entry that needs to be done. This is Spider-Man, who came into us, and he's given us $3,500. So I can look at this donor, and I can contact him. I can send him emails. I can thank him through here. There are actual templates. When you go into emails, you can create templates for acknowledgements, for anything that you want to do. You can create a template, and then I just click on that. The template pops up, and then I can customize it. But I can go down here and I can see when his last gift was, the smallest gift, all the information regarding his donations. And then I want to just show you really here, his opportunities are here. And these are the different channels and ways in which his donations came in. So, well, all right. So it's my brother-in-law, so he doesn't really care. But he came in through Classy, he came in through a check, he came in through different ways in which, and it all kind of dumps in. I will say that there is dual entry for checks, because checks are checks. So you have to put them somewhere. So we do put them in there, and in full transparency, I do have QuickBooks. So we keep our donations. QuickBooks, in full honesty, is my source of truth for donations, but we match it to what we have in Salesforce so that I can get the reporting out of it. And then we also use this for grants. Again, it's one source of truth. So we can go in here and we can look at our different grants by stage, where we're at by them, the number of requests we were awarded versus what we've sent out. I can also go here and look to see how we're doing month by month, and then I can do a year-over-year comparison as well and see how we did here, how many we submitted, what we were funded. There's so many ways in which you can use this. I know it's a lot to digest, and I want to give us some time for questions, but there's so much capability, and we are still in the process of building it. Our inventory was our last thing that we did. And it is just, but there are other systems out there that I'm sure are equally as capable. Whatever you're using, I would just see if there's any of these tools that you can be doing through your systems. Do they have, ways in which other apps that can kind of interact? We do use MailChimp. Somebody had asked that before. MailChimp, we used to have to go out of our system, go into MailChimp, all this. At the click of a button, we're mailing our recipients. At a click of a button, we're mailing all of our people. So it's really a very good thing. I want to just answer any questions, because I feel like we might be, drinking from the fire hose here.
And I've been trying to answer as we go, and my team's been answering as well.
Okay,
But
good.
it's going pretty fast, so I might have missed something. So Kelly, if you could, while we're looking at the meeting chat, would you mind posting the poll results so that we can just kind of take a look at where everybody is? All right, so we've got, looks like most people are using email marketing and some sort of workplace solution. Only 25% of us are using inventory management, which makes sense because it's kind of a beast.
It's a bear. It's a bear.
And a lot of people just find that Excel is fine. Social media schedulers is a whole nother ball of wax. Form builders, fundraising platforms, volunteer management. Okay, so volunteer management, and great, this is awesome. So so then, oh, let me scroll up. Can everybody see this, by the way? Okay, I'm like, I don't even know what you can and can't see. All right, so most people are tracking donors, volunteers, community partners, book recipients. Okay, so inputs. Okay, this is great. So most of us are kind of doing the same types of things. And then let's see. Great. All right, we're happy to share this information. And I love the fact that we're all sleep deprived as well. Sorry, it's all about the sleep recently. So we'll share this information, and then we're going to try the whiteboard. So if it works, we'll all do a happy dance. So Kelly, if you could try, Amy and I we're trying to mess around with this the other day, and we kind of authored a whiteboard that Kelly is going to try and share. And we have I don't actually know how it's really going to work. So bear with us. And what this basically is are sticky notes. So you can click into it, or try to click into one of the sticky notes and answer some of these questions. So see if you can give it a go. So we're looking for like, what tools are you using for websites? So Eileen, so Book Fairies and Promising Pages, we both use WordPress for web development. Your fundraising, what are you using for fundraising and donations? If you use surveys and builders, are you using, yep. And if you guys could just minimize, like bring those those what do you call it? Yeah. The text down smaller, font size. That would be what it's called. See, sleep. You need sleep in order to have these things come to your brain. CRM and management, communications, volunteer management. And then one thing that we did want to ask, because, you know, we don't all use, you know, all the different amazing technologies, is, do you have one piece of technology or software or whatever it is that has really been a game changer for your organization, and what is it? And as everyone's filling this out and moving things around, it's kind of fascinating to watch. It's like a social experiment. I'm like,
I'm struggling. I'm proud. I'm so impressed with everybody that has this going, because my font is about 2 inches high. So I'm not even doing it.
It's just a little bit of it's just like a crazy, like, we'll just get it on there somehow. We'll figure out where it goes. So
I love it.
let me see.
I see a lot of the little green light. I would love to learn. I feel like they might have some capabilities where you can kind of take some of what we've spoken about here and kind of, you know, hopefully use it. See? That's so funny. I love this.
If there is anyone who didn't get their question answered because we missed it in the fast pace of the chat, feel free to come off mute and ask us verbally.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Or if anyone would like to, because we still have 11 minutes. We kind of flew through our presentation, Eileen. We were like, how are we going to get through all this? How are we going to get through all this material in 1 hour?
And I think I was like, I'm from New York, so it's, you know, speed.
Fast talker.
Fast talker.
And I know we really just wanted to give you guys like a 30,000 foot view.
Yeah.
And just say, this is what is possible. So even if you have a CRM that you're currently working with, ask your developers, you know, could they do this for you? And then what the cost would be. My team has been exploring inventory systems literally for like 5 years. So we have had so many calls with different vendors, different developers. You know, most of the inventory systems are for warehousing, you know, supply chain, and, you know, it's like 20 widgets fit in one box and it's all uniform, and, you know, there's drop shipping and all this kind of stuff. So it's not really built for organizations like ours, especially if you have different amounts of books that go into boxes and you don't have a standardized size box. It can be kind of challenging. So some of the questions, Kelly, sorry to interrupt you, are a little bit about what would be the first steps, and you know, how could a small organization like this be? And to be perfectly honest with you, when I got here, it was myself and our part-time program director. So you can apply for Salesforce for free, and it's free for up to 10 users. Out of the box, you get a basic CRM, right, Kelly? It's your, how do you coordinate with, just when you get a business card, where are you putting your business card? If it's not a donor, if it's not a recipient, where are you putting it? Now you can put them all into Salesforce. So that's my suggestion. It could be very overwhelming. So just choose one thing at a time, one bite of the cookie, and get it as a CRM, so you can start capturing the historical data, the conversations that you're having with people. The other thing we didn't talk about, Kelly, is that it interacts with Outlook, right? Do you want to talk about that? No, because it interacts with Gmail, because we use Gmail. So
okay, so it does both, where you're able to, you can blind CC we're on Outlook, Office 365. I blind CC key communications, and those communications dump into any record that's on that communication. So if I was to leave tomorrow and Kelly came in to take my place, and you wanted to know what's going on with Minnie Mouse, you go into the system, you could see Eileen emailed her. She asked her for money. She asked her to volunteer. I could see, oh, Minnie Mouse was already a volunteer that was, you know, highlighted in a newsletter. All that stuff is all kind of seen in there. So that's another thing. And that's just another app and that's free. Having
Yeah.
that done is free.
Same with,
Um,
so we're on Google, we use Google for email and files and everything, and it's the same thing. And I don't even have to blind carbon copy. It just, I can automatically add it. And so the filing of all communications back and forth is very, very easy. It dumps all into Salesforce. So it has been fantastic. And other CRMs have not been as helpful with that. So it is definitely a plus.
Right.
So what does this one say? Can you both maybe talk about your book delivery organizations and how you began to integrate data in your models more specific? So how do you integrate book delivery organizations? We've always tracked incoming and outgoing, you know, our outputs and inputs. We've always done it through Excel or Google Sheets. But because we have an online form, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for community partners to access books. So that's really when we got serious about an inventory system, and because it's very easy to forget to put something in. It's very easy, you know, your numbers are not correct. And like, you know, you've got folks that, you know, your funders want to make sure you're actually giving out the books that you're reporting. So having some sort of system like this is important for like data verification or data. I'm not quite sure what the term is, but I'm not quite sure if I even got close to answering your question, Michael. So
I think it's important, you know, just again, to just take one piece of the cookie at a time. And it's a perfectly, you know, it's something that's just, you're constantly building on, and you're constantly, right, Kelly, you're like, we want this, we want that. I'm constantly looking for more ways. And there are our portal that I didn't even get into it, but I actually can track my board's give get in Salesforce. I have a report for how much my board has given and got based on our requirements to be on the board. We have a board portal, which is the most recent thing that we're doing, which is out of our website. So there's a lot of different ways in which you can integrate different systems to figure out what, and I'm free is for me. So I'm always looking for, you know, ways to do things on cheap. But I think investing in your CRM, regardless of what it is very important, because the less information you need to dual enter is key, and streamlining, you know, the data retrieval is so key.
mm-hmm. We also, one of our pieces of technology that we've just started using in the last, you know, year or two is a fundraising platform called Harness. It is not a CRM, but it's a way to process financial payments and track donors, and we can text message with them. At the time, we couldn't afford to integrate it with Salesforce. It can talk to Salesforce, but you kind of need a programmer to make them talk to each other. So that is probably our next step, is starting to integrate some of those pieces we couldn't afford to do at the time we built our inventory system out, because, you know, Harness is like, you know, we were like, oh, we're kind of small, we don't really need this, but then it has actually paid for itself. So, you know, that's time and time again, that tends to be the lesson that you learn, is that when you invest money, which we don't like to do, because, you know, most of us get donated books, and so we don't usually have to have a large budget. But when you do invest in technology, it does kind of come back to you. So,
and one of the reasons why I'm so sorry, Kelly. One of the reasons why I wanted to get Salesforce when I first came here was because I didn't have the staffing or the volunteers to really input donors, and I was really trying to build up a donor base. And I chose in the beginning, I used something else, but we now use Classy, and we have peer-to-peer fundraising that we do, and that enables people to do peer-to-peer fundraising, and all of the teams that they create, all of the donors that are on it all comes and rolls up into my Salesforce platform. So While Classy, if anybody's interested, Classy is about $4,000 a year for me. But all of that, the thank yous, everything is just done systemically, and I don't even have to worry about it. So it's
And you
just,
can upload files and keep track.
Yeah,
There's financial components. So we
yeah,
haven't even really touched the financial component yet. So
yeah.
it's like a driving a very easy, easy to drive Lamborghini, and you know, you're not even getting close to like all the functionality, or I don't know. I've never been in a Lamborghini, let's be honest. So
Exactly. Well, this whiteboard is interesting. I think you've seen Bloomerang is another really good one. Donor Perfect is good, but I don't know if you have the functionality, but maybe
yeah,
that since I've been there, I haven't really looked at it in a while, so they might have it.
we used to use Donor Perfect, and we never really, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And Calendly, which is, again, it's all, how do you does that integrate with whatever system you're using? Calendly might be an app that integrates with Little Green Light, I don't know, or Bloomerang. Those are the things that I would, suggest to people to start looking for and seeing what integrates with what.
Now, is
And how do
anyone
you,
using, sorry, I just saw a
Mhm.
question. Is anyone using Asana? I actually just learned about that the other day, and I thought it was really interesting for program management.
We actually use Trello, which is kind of similar to Asana,
I
right?
saw that one as well. Yeah.
I love Trello, but that's again, that's a totally different, that just keeps me on task, but it doesn't, for me, it doesn't integrate with Salesforce or anything, but that's also a great tool. I love those types of things because I'm a visual person.